everybody, I'm in Pennsylvania at Fort Necessity to learn how George Washington started a world war. In the 1750s, both France and Great Britain were trying to expand their North American colonial empires into the Ohio River Valley, a valuable piece of land rich in resources and trading opportunities with the local indigenous nations that live there. In 1754, George Washington was a 22-year-old lieutenant colonel in the Virginia Colonial Militia. He was ordered by the British colonial governor of Virginia to defend its territorial claims near the forks of the Ohio in what is now modern-day Pittsburgh. The French had built an outpost there known as Fort Duquesne. So Washington's orders were to build a road through the thick wilderness to the area, a road that was supposed to secure the claim of the territory for the colony of Virginia. For the next month, Washington and his men cut through the wilderness, arriving about 40 miles south of the forks of the Ohio in late May. On May 28th, Washington's native scouts informed him that a detachment of French soldiers was camped nearby at a ravine now known as Jumonville Glen. Washington decided to personally lead a surprise attack. Quietly sneaking up on the French along some boulders overlooking the camp, Washington's men opened fire. A brief but deadly fight broke out. 13 French soldiers were killed, including their commander Joseph Colon de Jumonville. Yet what seemed like a minor skirmish would have massive consequences. The French at nearby Fort Duquesne were outraged. To them, this was murder, an unprovoked attack on what they claimed was a diplomatic mission. Washington, knowing retaliation was probably coming, rushed to build a makeshift fort, Fort Necessity, in a low, marshy meadow known as the Great Meadow. It was poorly constructed, offered little cover, and was surrounded by woods, not ideal for defense. On July 3rd, 1754, 600 French soldiers and their native allies launched an assault on Fort Necessity. During the fight, rain poured, and Washington's men were overwhelmed and surrounded. After an initial charge by the French failed, they used the woods as cover and pelted Fort Necessity and its earthworks with constant fire. After a day-long siege and his gunpowder soaked by rain and useless, Washington was forced to surrender, his first and only surrender in battle. The surrender document, written in French, claimed Washington had assassinated Jumonville. Washington, not fluent in French, signed it, possibly without understanding what it really said, a mistake that would haunt him for the rest of his life. This single chain of events, the Battle of Jumonville Glen and the fall of Fort Necessity, ignited the French and Indian War in North America. Within 2 years, it exploded into the 7 Years' War, a global conflict that would stretch across Europe, Africa, the Caribbean, and India. George Washington would return to the area a year later, this time with a large British army led by Edward Braddock. That expedition would also end in disaster, with the British defeated and Braddock killed in battle. Yet Washington would distinguish himself in the retreat, building his military experience and reputation, which would serve him well in the upcoming American Revolution 20 years later. For France, the war would go badly. Despite their early victories in the rural wilderness of what is now Pennsylvania, France would lose the 7 Years' War and be forced to sign over nearly all of its North American territory to Britain and her allies. Today, you can visit the site of where this global war all started at Fort Necessity National Battlefield in Fayette County, Pennsylvania, which features an excellent museum over the battle and a reconstruction of Fort Necessity in the Great Meadow.
So come to Fort Necessity. It's one of the best places in Pennsylvania.